Okay, in this unit we're going to talk about Gustar and similar verbs, and in the new book that's on page 193, and the previous edition is on page 198, and then we're going to talk about how to use these verbs. Okay, now, there are a lot of verbs like Gustar that take an indirect object, and then they have the verb, and then something comes after it. And the actual subject of the verb is what comes after it. So let's look at some of the examples, and then we will see the actual uses. There are only two conjugations you usually use. We'll see how those kind of make sense then. Okay, look at the first example. To me, pleasing the cars. Okay, here is my actual subject. Cars. Okay, cars is a they. So that's not singular, that's plural. So I need the third person plural of the verb to match the cars. The cars are pleasing to me, which is a way of saying, I like the cars. If you look at the verbs on page 193 in the new, or 198 in the old, you also have encantar, and that's a little step beyond Gustar. Me encantan los carros would be, I love the cars, or maybe me fascinan los carros. That means they fascinate me. And so all of those verbs there on 193 or 198 work sort of backwards. They have the indirect object, then they have the verb, then they have the actual subject of the verb that comes after. And in this case, you have something that comes after the verb, and that's the subject that tells you whether it's either singular or plural. You only have the two forms. Okay, let's look at the next one, and we're going to use either Gustar and this one. To Paco, to him, is pleasing to paint. Okay, this is an infinitive. The question is an infinitive singular or plural? And the rule that we use is that infinitives are treated as if they were a singular noun, or if they're singular. So let's see, those are my two choices. That's the singular one, isn't it? A Paco le gusta pintar. He likes to paint. Okay, let's go to the next one. To his sister, I guess we're talking about Paco now. To his sister, to her, is pleasing the pintura of Paco, or Paco's painting. Okay, la pintura. That's singular, isn't it? So does that get gusta or gustan? Okay, that's singular, so that gets gusta again. So we've had gustan for the first one, and then gusta and gusta for the next two. Okay, now let's work with a different verb, one that's not even in your book, but works the same way as the verbs that are in your book. We have here two conjugations of the verb doler, D-O-L-E-R, which means to give pain. And this is a verb to say my feet hurt, or my head hurt, or whatever. Okay, so in this one, I want to say I have a headache, or my head hurts. To me, gives pain, the head, okay? Head, that's singular, isn't it? So I've got to pick the singular version of that verb. Oh, there it is, doedly. So that's what would go on the blank. Let's look at the next one. To me, are giving pain, the feet, okay? Is feet singular or plural? Well, it's got a los, that's one clue, it ends in an S. Now, both are clues to tell me it's plural, so I must need that plural conjugation of dolero then to go with it. So, me duelen los pies would mean my feet hurt. So here we have the verb doler, there we were with the verb gustar, and then you have all those other verbs on page 193 or 198 that all work the same way. You have the indirect object pronoun, and then the verb will either be third person singular or third person plural, only those two choices, and then after the verb, that's where your subject is. So unlike the previous section where we were looking at indirect objects, and we looked at what came before the indirect object as our clue, we have one here, for example, a Paco le. It would have been a blank, and we said a Paco would be le. Before, it was before the work we were doing. In this case, our actual clue is after the answer. There's the one clue, there's a clue, there's one, and there's a subject, and there's a subject. So, and when you have to put in either Gustar or Gustan in the blank, or whatever verb it is, you look right after the verb, and that's what your subject is. And it'll either be singular or plural.